This week's episode of the Alpha Nerds podcast is brought to you by Sponch, now with extra squid beak.
Welcome to another episode of the Alpha Nerds podcast. And if this is the first time you've ever tuned into the Alpha Nerds podcast, I've got some bad news for you. It's the last episode of the Alpha Nerds podcast. I'm Pete.
I'm Bart.
And every week we talk about one TV show or a movie or a character or a franchise or video game, book, whatever, that starts with a certain letter of the alphabet. And you guessed it, this week's letter is Z.
Z! Zero. From Zoltan. Remember Zoltan?
Hail Zoltan!
Zoltan!
And
that was a stupid movie, but that was great.
Zed to our any Canadian listeners we may have. Y'all pronounce Z weird.
With your zebras. Although, it did make Men in Black better, because Zed was the name of the, top brass of Men in Black.
Yeah.
Calling him Z would have made him look like your, friendly cousin, but calling him Zed gives that, the gravitas to it.
We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger here.
Zed, man.
Zed. Anyway, so every week we have 5 honorable mentions that we would like to talk about or that we just particularly like, but didn't quite make it into the final cut. So, Bart, why don't you start us off with your 5 honorable mentions?
All right. So my first one is Zorro.
Zorro!
I'd never... See, okay, I watched one of the old shows. It came on Disney Channel back in the day, and I remember there was a guy who was, deaf, who was working on the bad guy's ranch, and the bad guy takes a gun and just shoots it straight in the air, and the deaf guy doesn't move, and everybody else is freaking out, and all the horses are freaking out.
Good stuff.
Yeah, but the main thing I watched from Zorro was the movie with Antonio Banderas, which I thought did pretty well.
It did. Well, I'm sure there are some Zorro purists out there, however few in number that may be. That is a niche group. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a pretty old show. Zorro is actually the inspiration for Batman.
Yes, Zorro and a little bit of Leonardo da Vinci, specifically the bat-looking glider that he designed.
Yeah,
and a few other things. Gosh, what was it? It was
the Bat, which was a 1927.
The Phantom Stranger.
No, you're thinking of the Phantom, which was after Batman, I think.
There was one superhero that was very Batman-like, and even in the animated series, he gets to team up with him, and he's like, I actually grew up watching your show or whatever. It was like a really meta episode, and the inspiration for the Kevin Conroy Batman was voiced by Adam West.
Yeah, that was the Grey Ghost. That wasn't an actual
yes, that's right, the Grey Ghost.
But Zorro's an inspiration for him because that's why the movie that he and his parents are leaving is Zorro.
That's right. Wait.
It's usually Zorro. Yeah.
Yeah.
My next up for the letter Z is Zizek's Road.
Zizek's Road.
And I'm not talking about the terrible movie with Katherine Heigl. Me and Pete have driven between San Diego and Las Vegas an awful lot, and the exit heading towards San Diego is Zizek's Road.
Yes. And it was named so because the person naming the road wanted it to be the last possible word in the dictionary. That's a weird motivation, but hey, you do you, man.
Yeah. It was set up as this, retreat spa place by this, crazy preacher who said, the waters have healing qualities and all this other stuff. And he's like, look, there's hot springs, but you can't really have hot springs in the middle of the desert. That tends to hang out by volcanoes.
Yeah.
So what he did was there was a boiler hidden underneath the, chapel that fed pipes to, all the, spas. And that's how he made the hot springs.
Fraud!
Yeah. And I actually have a bottle sitting on my shelf of magic water from Zizek's Road. It's scummy pond water.
Mm-hmm.
But it has those lovely healing qualities that you hear about of charlatans of the 1950s.
Come and get your Zizek's Road Springs healing water. Guaranteed to heal everything from botulism to baldness.
Will I cure my... I can't think of one.
Will it cure my AIDS? Fuck no, you sinner! Hey, it's the 1930s. What do you want?
Yeah, fair. Strange that time traveler went back to Zizek's Road. Anyway.
Yep.
My next up, I'm going to skip ahead and do Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. Pete, what do you know about this?
Well, it was a Disney made-for-TV movie that I think had one sequel?
Yes, it did. That was Xenon the Sequel.
Yeah,
which did not have Raven Simone in it, even though the original did.
Yeah.
So that tells you everything you need to know about that.
So,
it did not have...
Girl of the 21st Century, which is this century.
We've got 900 years to get better.
We've
got 900
given the scope,
years.
It's been a long crawl.
We haven't even hit 2020 yet. Like, hindsight's 2020. We're going to look back.
Oh, God. 2020 is going to be full of that joke.
I know. It's going to be great.
Oh, boy.
But, so there's not really much to say about this movie other than she's a girl who lives on a space station. Then she has to live with her aunt down on crummy old dirty Earth. And then falls in love with the guy from Everwood. And that's pretty much it. Raven Simone's there. There's a song called Zoom Zoom.
Oh, yeah. That song sucked.
Yeah, there's not really much that needs to be said about Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. But people remember it because it was there.
Yep.
Next up for me is Zombies Revenge. So, Pete, have you ever played Zombies Revenge?
I don't think I have.
So, it's a game that came out on the Dreamcast and in arcades. And when I first played it, we were at a friend's house and, like, playing it. It was me and my brother and then this dude and his friend. And we're playing it, and it's really good. It's really fun. It's a game that they, like, ported over from... Think of it as, like, it's in the Resident Evil world, except it's, like, a 3D beat-em-up with guns. So everything looks kind of brown. The zombies look terrible. You play as a Japanese detective and who has this like wicked, awesome scar on his chest, and he's the one who's good with his hands.
Don't all Japanese detectives have a wicked cool scar on their chest? I mean, isn't that like a prerequisite?
I don't watch many of the shirtless Japanese detective genre, but you're more of a connoisseur of that.
Yeah, you're missing out. Some great chest scars.
But it was a really fun game. It's not the best because it's really hard because it was designed to be an arcade game. It's made just to kill you very, very quickly with no prejudice. So we actually found it
with absolute or with extreme prejudice. You mean?
We're tolerable society here in the zombie wasteland. So
no, if like you're killing something like quickly and savagely, you're doing it with extreme prejudice.
Killing it with a necessary prerequisite amount of prejudice. Yes.
All right.
But we found it in an arcade once, and I like put in like $2 because I just wanted to play this game. And I called my brother over. I'm like, dude, we gotta play Zombies Revenge. And so we're playing, and you play like a couple street levels, then you go down in the sewer. You play the sewer level, then you go back up to an office. You find the disc, and it's like, it's from I'm thinking of House of the Dead. Which is also very House of the Dead-y. But I'm playing it, and my brother dies, and he starts walking around. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm out of quarters. I'm like, I put like $2 in. Let's keep going. He's like, oh, jump back on. Super fun game. It's a nice little nostalgic trip for me, but I don't think anybody else really needs to go down that path. Unless you're really into House of the Dead and the old Resident Evils, in which case, go ahead. Like, there was something about old... just crappy zombie looks. Like the Resident Evil zombies look like they're just like put together with toilet paper rolls and cotton. Except for that one. The first one you find looks creepy. Everything else is just whatever.
He was the favorite.
I hated that guy. And then my last one, my number 5, is Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. which is probably my favorite David Bowie album. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Changes doesn't count because it's a compilation, but Changes has the famed 90s remix that you can only find there on the soundtrack to Pretty Woman. So I know my Bowie. But yeah, I had that I've listened to that album so much. My favorite song is still probably Moon Age Daydream. Which, Pete, do you know the story of Ziggy Stardust?
It's been a while since I've really listened to it start to end and thought about it.
Well, it's a concept album.
Yeah.
All the songs make the story beginning to end.
Yeah.
So it starts off with 5 years where it's like, hey, we have 5 years to stay alive. Then I think the next one is like Starman, where it's Ziggy saying, there's a Starman in the sky. Everything's going to be great. We just got to follow the Starman. And then he rises to fame. Everything goes to crap, and his followers end up just killing him.
Damn.
Yeah. It isn't. The song Ziggy played guitar?
Yeah.
I think the name of that song is just Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, that song, they kill him, and then the narrator, whoever it is like, what do we do now that they crushed his hands? I don't know what we do. I remember my brother pointing out that song because he's like, so when he says he has a sweet, butt? He's like, that's David Bowie talking about himself. I'm like, this is a weird album.
Well, David Bowie was a weird guy.
David Bowie was ahead of his time.
He was a champion of the weird.
Yes. We are at a loss for him. Or we are at a loss without him.
Yeah. But we got in all of human history, we got to exist at the same time as David Bowie. So that's pretty awesome.
Cheers. Which he also did a cameo role in a movie called Zoolander.
Yes, he did.
Also starts with a Z.
He also did a cameo in what was it? The Prestige. He played Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, he played that was just a full out character. That wasn't him showing up just to make a joke.
Well,
that was great.
He was in there for I think just one, maybe two scenes.
Yeah, I think it's 2 scenes. I gotta double check that. Yeah. Anyways, we could talk about David Bowie for the next hour. In fact, it's gonna be the subject of my next podcast, Transvestite in Space, a David Bowie adventure. But we're not gonna talk about that right now. We need to talk more about the letter Z. Pete, what have you got for us?
All right. So first up, I got Zeus, the Greek god of thunder and fucking, apparently.
So, so Zeus has had a couple good interpretations in modern culture. You've got the Zeus from Hercules, who's my boy, big old proud.
See, that was actually my first introduction to the character Zeus.
Same.
And going in and because after watching Hercules, it's like, what? There's more of these stories? I start reading all these, and I'm like, dude, Zeus is horrible.
I think middle school is about the age where people get into mythology. That's definitely the age I did.
Yeah, same here.
Gosh, I devoured books, but Zeus is just hey, pretty lady, what are you doing later? I've got.
I'm a swan.
I was trying to make it.
You like that swan dick? I know you like them bendy necks. So, really, all of. And I'm lifting this joke straight from the internet, so please don't get all pissed off anyone who's listening to this and it's that joke's not original. All of Greek history summarized in 5 words. Unfortunately, Zeus was feeling horny.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Although I still do absolutely love the depiction of Zeus in the animated cartoon Hercules. Just that. Didn't know you had a famous father, did you? Surprise!
I love that one. I love how they did the designs for the ears, because it's a pure spiral for the ears.
Yeah.
And then the spirals show up a lot in the rest of the, movie.
Yeah.
I think there's a spiral on his shield. His, toes have spirals for, the...
toe knuckles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really interesting, distinct design choice for the cartoon, but it had that Disney-ish quality because that was at the height of Disney just making awesome cartoons.
Yeah. And honestly, it's an underappreciated movie.
Yep.
Like, there's, like, as far as 2D animation goes, it's really good, but it also incorporates 3D animation pretty well, too, with the Hydra, the Pit of Souls, and all that stuff. But, what are you going to do? Some people just don't appreciate shit.
Yeah. Speaking of things that don't appreciate... or actually, no, you do your segue. Go.
Yeah. So, speaking of things that don't appreciate anything that is provided to them, Zordon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Zordon?
Yep.
You're talking about Zordon who had his life saved by the Rangers and the next day was like, all right, Rangers, go.
Yep. Yep. I'm talking about that Zordon who, when the giant tube was broken, we just got that weird old man in a body gown thing.
That I thought that was appropriate. I thought that could have been a lot worse.
That was really creepy. Like, I saw that as a kid, and I'm like, oh, no, I thought he was just, like, made of energy. I didn't know that this was some Wizard of Oz bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair.
Just, ugh.
But he was supposed to look, like, weakened and withered, and how do you make energy look withered? Just dimmer?
Or, like, glitchy. Like,
yeah, he could have done that.
Could have made his face glitch out, but either way. Next up, Zoids. Zoids! Now, Bart, what do you know about Zoids?
I remember watching it before I went to school on Cartoon Network. I remember watching the first episode and being like, the heck's a liger?
Yep.
Oh, I get. They cleverly combined two animals to make a third animal.
Yep.
That's clever. I realized that was an actual thing.
Yep. Yeah. A male lion and a female tiger make a liger, and a male tiger and a female lion make a tiger, a Taion.
Tygon?
Tygon. Sure.
Is that Tygon?
Either
So
way.
what happens when you have like a cyber lion mates with like a robo tiger?
You get a liger.
Do you get a Zoid?
You get a Zoid.
Yay!
So, yeah, this was a pretty short-run anime that was on Cartoon Network. I believe I watched it on Toonami, like, way back when. And I actually, like, had to look it up because there are a lot of Zoids series out there.
Right? I did the same thing.
Yeah, so I looked up, and the one I watched was Zoids New Century, or Zoids New Century 0. It's the same thing. Some people call it one, some people call it another. And it was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of CG animation with just giant robot animal fights.
Yep.
And centered around this one guy. His name was Bit Cloud. As far as protagonist names go, that one was pretty good.
It could be worse.
Yeah. And apparently he's the only one who is able to pilot the Liger Zero, who operates on an organoid system, which is basically artificial intelligence. So whereas every other Zoid is like just a giant robot, this one thinks for itself and it will not allow anyone else to pilot it.
Oh. See, do you remember... Because I remember looking this up, and the Liger was white. Do you remember it being blue?
That is that's one of the 3 iterations of like extra armor that it gets. So there's the Liger Jaeger, which is the blue one, and that one's like built for speed. Then there's the Liger Panzer, which is built for like, you know, it's basically a tank. And then there was an orange one. What was that one called? I can't remember. But, yeah, so it had, like, extra blue armor when it was the Jaeger.
Okay.
And that show was a lot of fun, and it also released a series of model kits that you could put together. and you had like tons. There were the Elephanters, which was an elephant. There was the Liger, obviously.
Yeah.
There were sand sharks. It is what it sounds like.
Sand sharks.
But yeah, these were like really good because in the show they have these like sanctioned battles where it's like one team challenges another, and then they put like, they basically bet on themselves, and it's like, okay, if we wager this much, and they're like, okay, we'll match it, and then they duke it out, and whoever wins the pot, and then other people are like allowed to bet on it too, like spectators.
Yeah.
But sand sharks were able to basically swim in a desert, like through the sand, which made them really hard to find because you couldn't find their like heat signature but beneath the sand, because sand has a really weak
it's a good insulator.
It's a kind of. It has a really weak heat capacity, so it just disperses heat very quickly.
Tristan from Yu-Gi-Oh! He looks like the guy who would be the leader of the Sand Sharks.
Yes, he does.
With the pointed haircut and the brown coat, like, he perfectly fits that.
Yeah. Just fuck already! So, yeah, I've gone off long enough on Zoids. It's so much fun to watch, though.
It was a really cool show back in the day. And I'm surprised by the level of model kits that it had.
Yeah, right? Just so much fun. Let's see. Next up is Zeke from Bob's Burgers.
Okay, I was about to ask you who Zeke was, and then I just remembered.
Yeah. It's like, listen, I know we had our differences, but you stepped back at the right minute, and I respect that. But I still gotta throw you in the water, so get on over here, I'm gonna throw you in the water.
He's your, like, resident scrappy hillbilly.
Yep, and he just loves wrestling. That's how he expresses himself, by wrestling. Wow, I
love the episode.
I've never seen this injury before. I still don't know how I kicked myself in the beans, but that's wrestling for you.
I love the episode where Bob teaches the home ec class.
Oh my god!
Where he's trying to get Zeke to admit he loves and knows how to cook.
Or yeah, he's trying to get Zeke to like accept his gift because he has a perfect palate.
Yeah. Zeke, you have a gift? No,
go to hell, man! You don't know me.
It's just every like high school kid who like they need to be taught and they need to know their potential.
Yeah.
In that one moment, it's great.
Zeke is just such a fun character. Like, Bob's Burgers is full of really fun characters.
Oh yeah.
Like there's never like one character that I'm like always dreading seeing. Maybe Tammy.
Even then, the part with her birthday party was great.
Oh, you mean her bat mitzvah?
Her bat mitzvah, sorry.
Yeah, that one was good. So great. And last but not least, Zamboni. The ice rink cleaning machine. Simply because of that one scene from Deadpool.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, do Zambonis give you a Zamboner? Or what
no, but that is what I call drivers of Zambonis.
I've been saving that up for weeks.
But, yeah, just that one scene. Just, you're about to be killed by a Zamboni! And then cut to another scene, and then back to the Zamboni scene. You're gonna... Tell me where your boss is! Or you're gonna fucking die! In 5 minutes! Because the guy's, like, just steadily crawling away from the Zamboni. And Zambonis only go, like, 1 mile an hour. So it's just...
Yeah.
So great.
I would love to drive a Zamboni. That's got to be fun. You're driving a wheeled thing on an icy... Dude, you could probably drift a Zamboni. Tell me that wouldn't be fun.
That would be fun. But I think it would involve, like, a lot of people getting, like, a push start from one side of the rink and then just, like, ramming shoulder first into the Zamboni. And I think
guess.
that's how people die.
There's lots of ways people die. We don't have to focus on particular ones.
Don't ram a Zamboni, kids.
The more you know.
Ram a Zamboni. That sounds like a sex move, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you ram a Zamboni, make sure it's with a consenting partner.
Yeah, always.
So,
Always consent.
those are my 5. Bart, what do you got for us this week?
All right. My topic this week, it begins west of a house. You're standing in an open field west of a white house with a boarded front door. There's a small mailbox here.
What does the mailbox say?
There's a small mailbox here.
Open mailbox.
Opening the mailbox reveals a leaflet.
Read leaflet.
Welcome to Zork. Zork is a game of adventure, danger, and low cunning. In it, you'll explore some of the most amazing territory ever seen by mortals. No computer should be without one. What do you do?
Oh. Open, go to house.
It's here.
Yeah. Open front door.
The door cannot be opened. You could go a direction, say north or west, or...
Go west.
Forest. This is a forest with trees in all directions. To the east, there appears to be sunlight.
Go east.
Forest path. This is a path winding through the dimly lit forest. The path leads north-south here. One particularly large tree with some low branches stands at the edge of the path.
Examine tree.
One particularly large tree with some low branches stands at the edge of the path.
Go north.
You could climb the tree.
Climb tree.
Up a tree. You're about 10 feet above the ground, nestled among some large branches. The nearest branch above you is within your reach. Besides you in the branch is a small bird's nest. In the bird's nest is a large egg encrusted with precious jewels, apparently scavenged by some childless songbird. The egg is covered with fine gold inlay and ornamented in lapis lazuli and mother of pearl. Unlike most eggs, this one is hinged and closed with a delicate-looking clasp. The egg appears extremely fragile.
Take egg.
Taken.
Climb down the tree.
You're back on the forest path.
Open egg.
You have neither the tools nor the expertise.
Okay. Go north.
Clearing. You are in a clearing with a forest surrounding you on all sides. A path leads south. On the ground is a pile of leaves.
Move leaves.
In disturbing the pile of leaves, a grating is revealed.
Ooh. Open grating.
The grating is locked.
Boo!
Because of course it is.
Make grating feel bad about itself. Shame the grating.
You use the word feel in a way I don't understand.
You suck, grating.
I do not know the word shame.
Go
Can I give
south.
you a hint? Yeah. You're back on the forest path. There's a north-south path here.
Go south.
North of house. You are facing the north side of a white house. There is no door here, and all the windows are boarded up. To the north, a narrow path winds through the trees.
There's supposed to be a way in. Shit. What was the way in?
You want a hint?
Yes.
There are other sides of the house. You've been on the west side of the house and the north side of the house.
Okay. Go east?
Behind house. You are behind the white house. A path leads into the forest to the east. In one corner of the house, there is a small window which is slightly ajar.
Open window.
With great effort, you open the window far enough to allow entry.
There it is. Enter window.
Kitchen. You are in a kitchen of the White House. A table seems to have been used recently for the preparation of food. A passage leads to the west, and a dark staircase can be seen leading upward. A dark chimney leads down, and to the east there's a small window which is open. On the table is an elongated brown sack smelling of hot peppers. A bottle is sitting on the table, and the bottle contains a quantity of water.
All right. Take sack. Take water.
Taken.
Uh,
A passage leads to the west, and a dark staircase can be seen leading up.
Okay. Go west.
Living room. You are in the living room. There is a doorway to the east, a wooden door with strange Gothic lettering to the west, which appears to be nailed shut, a trophy case, and a large oriental rug in the center of the room. Above the trophy case hangs an elvish sword of great antiquity. A battery-powered brass lantern is on the trophy case.
Okay. Open trophy case.
Opened.
Place egg.
What do you want to place the egg in?
Trophy case.
Done.
Nice. Move rug.
With great effort, the rug is moved to one side of the room, revealing the dusty cover of a closed trap door.
Open trap door. Oh, wait. The
door reluctantly opens to reveal a rickety staircase descending into darkness.
Take lantern.
Taken.
Use lantern.
I don't know the word use.
Light lantern.
The brass lantern is now on.
Okay. Go down staircase.
Cellar. You are in a dark and damp cellar with a narrow passageway leading north and a crawlway to the south. On the west is the bottom of a steep metal ramp, which is unclimbable. But we're here, even though you're missing one thing that's probably pretty important in the next room.
Oh, the sword.
Yep. The line I forgot to read, the trapdoor crashes shut and you hear someone barring it.
Oh. Damn.
So, unfortunately, Pete, your forgetting
Fucked.
of the sword means you have one option, which is to go, which is north. And, or no, you can, there's a way around it.
But,
If
yeah,
you went,
I'm rather fucked.
well, if you go south, east, north, and north again, you get to the artist gallery, and the chimney that you saw in the kitchen leads to that gallery, so you can climb up the chimney.
Oh.
The problem with that is that you can't carry anything through the chimney besides the lantern.
Bummer.
So you can go through, get the sword again, go back down, as long as you don't meet the thief. But I'm talking a lot. People, we're talking about Zork.
Yeah.
Zork is, and I stole this concept from the Retronauts. All apologies to Jeremy Parrish. But Zork is one of the few games that you could probably do a Let's Play on of a podcast, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
As you can tell from the stuff like, I don't know the word use. And if you misspell something, it's I don't know the word too light. This is a very old video game.
Yes. Yes.
It began development.
One of those text adventure games.
Yeah. So this wasn't the first text adventure game, but it was definitely the most popular one.
Yep.
The first one was actually a game called, it was originally called Adventure. Well, it was originally called Advent because there was only 6 characters in the file name. So then that became Microsoft Adventure. It's the exact same game. And then that became Colossal Cave Adventure when Microsoft's licensing ran out.
Nice.
And that guy, yeah, the dude based it on the guy who made that, who was a guy named Walter Crawford, I think. Walter Crowford, or Crowther. He designed it off the Mammoth Cave system in, I think, Kentucky. I'm not 100% sure. But he built, like, if you went, like, northeast, like, if you followed the path, it's the exact same path that the caves take.
Nice.
Yeah. So the game was developed in 1977 by MIT students, so some of the puzzles are not so intuitive because it was designed in 1977 by MIT students.
Yeah.
So, 1977, this is the year Apple Inc. first got founded. This is the year Space Mountain is opened. This is the year Star Wars got developed and Elvis died.
Yep.
We're not going to talk about the king. I miss you. I miss you, you hick with the voice of an angel. I'm not saying, like, Elvis was, like, the man had a lot of problems. The man was very country. He ate peanut butter and banana sandwiches. Fried peanut butter
and banana sandwiches.
Yeah. And the computer this is developed on, because it was developed in MIT for a specific reason. That's because nobody had personal computers at the time. Like I was saying, Apple just got started. You didn't have a computer at your house. You had what were called mainframe computers that took up an entire room at universities.
Just feeding data reel to reel, and it was just...
Yeah. It actually was... So I looked up a picture of the PDP-10, the one that this was built off of, and it looks like just stacks and stacks of server racks, like 8 of them. And knowing that it has less power than my phone is just kind of mind-boggling.
Right? Dude, the space program that got Neil Armstrong to the moon and back had less computing power than the common cell phone at this point.
Okay, yeah. I've seen a picture online where it's like, what have you done with your phone today? And I'm like, yeah, they also had like millions of dollars of rocket fuel. I could do a whole lot with millions of dollars of rocket fuel. You want to give me millions of dollars of rocket?
If I have fucking PhD in rocket science, I could probably do a lot with it. So fuck you.
Oh my gosh, I could cause so much problems if you gave me $10 million in rocket fuel.
Oh.
I could change this freaking planet. So back to Zork. Zork was developed 1977. They originally called it Zork just because at MIT that's what it was, like slang. You called any piece of software that you haven't finished yet is a Zork. And then when you finished it, when you actually like compiled it and got the thing running, then you gave it a name. So when they finally named it, they called it Dungeon. And they got their pantsuit off of them by Dungeons & Dragons.
Oh, man.
It's like, you can't make a dungeon game. It's like, you could pay us and you could license this. And they're like, no. Okay. Like, one thing that I find, so your basic premise of the game, we've already gone over it, is it's a text adventure. You have short 2-word, 4-word phrases. You can't say too long that let you interact with the world. And one thing I like about this one is you can't just say use lantern. You can't say make object do thing object does. You have to say light the lantern or turn the lantern on. Or you can't just say use sword. You have to say hit the troll with the sword.
Yep.
Which you were one room away from the troll.
Yep.
Had you gone north, it would have hit you with the axe and you would have been dead.
No! My egg!
Well, the egg's safe. It's in the trophy case. That's another thing. If you die, all your items get scattered across that like first room with the forest and the kitchen, and maybe it will be upstairs. But the trophies that you've put in the case, those stay in the case.
Hooray!
So you're constantly making trips back through the house to try to shove stuff in this case. And the goal of the game is to get 19 trophies in the case. And once you get 19 trophies in the case, then the 20th trophy reveals itself. And then you have the in-game part is just doing what the final trophy says.
Yeah.
And that's the basic premise of the game. And one of the cool things that we saw was that it's anachronistic. It doesn't take place in your standard fantasy setting. That's one of the things I love about it.
Yeah, it's very contemporary.
Yeah, because you have just a white house. It doesn't say a white mansion, a white castle. White castle.
Stoner burgers.
Steamed hams. So another thing it's anachronistic in that there's not a specific timeline. So we saw the sword and then we saw the battery operated lantern, and we saw later on in the game you can get like the crystal trident of Poseidon himself. And then you can also get like a rubber raft that you have to like blow in the tube to like inflate.
Yeah.
I like that. I like not just your standard fantasy setting. Because how many times have we seen the elves and the dwarves, the elves and the dwarves, the elves and the dwarves? Tolkien, D&D, and their descendants.
Yep.
It's like,
As far as like the basically completely imaginary realm of fantasy goes, it does seem to reside like kind of just right there in the Tolkien verse. It's kind of like how Doctor Who can go anywhere in time and space, and yet he spends a lot of time in modern day London.
yeah.
Or she now, actually.
Yeah. I blame Dungeons and Dragons because people are so used to creating worlds in that standard setting that when they go to write books and novels and stuff, it all just comes back to Tolkien.
Yeah.
That's what I say. In any case, so the gameplay, we already went over the gameplay of just do this and do this and do this. And one of the coolest parts about the game is the immersion. Because when you were picturing the White House in your head and you were going through the forest, what were you picturing the character doing?
Just kind of walking through.
But what do they look like?
Well, I don't really like picture the character. I just kind of like imagine that this is what I'm seeing. So I guess like, you know, it's very easy to project yourself as this character.
It's great. I love it. Just because it's you are standing in front of a White House. Congratulations, Pete, like 20-something who lives in San Diego. You are now in your jeans and your t-shirt. You are now plopped in front of this White House. Go. And that it's a level of immersion that modern games can't really get, because you can tell me you are this thing and then you're going to show me a character who's my avatar in the world. So even though like Legend of Zelda, you're supposed to put in your own name and pretend to be Link. Because even Link doesn't have the sword when you start. You have to run into the cave and this old guy's like, here, take the sword. Like, things will kill you.
Hey, you look like, you know, you're barely in your teens. Take this weapon.
Yeah. But we don't say, like, anytime they give you a character that they let you name, or like Persona actually forces you to name it, there's no default name in there.
Right.
It misses the mark, because I know that, like, silver-haired Japanese kid, that's not me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in Fight Club, how they give Jack, you're supposed to put your personality on Jack.
Yeah.
But I'm not Jack. I know I'm not Jack. I don't work in an office. I'm not Jack.
Yeah.
But with this game, because there is no pictures, it's just, you are doing thing. Do you grab the sword? Like, it's super, super immersive. And I love it. And it only breaks it in a few times when it's like, yeah, the sword or the axe bounced off your armor. It's like, I'm wearing armor? What the heck? And the premise of the game is to get these trophies and to go through this maze and explore this underground empire. But there's like a couple of enemies in the game, one of them being the thief. And the thief will just show up in random rooms and just beat you up and take your stuff.
We hate the thief. The thief is a dick.
He really is. Like, the strategy guide I was reading, because I've played this entire game. I've used a guide because, oh my gosh, there are some problems with this game. But what I did was I got to the thief's room, like his house, the place where he will always be every time you go in there, because it's full of his treasure, saved. So I Groundhog's Day the thief and just kept going in there dying. I discovered that you find a knife. If you use the knife on the thief, you have a higher chance of killing him. It still took forever. Because how the thief works is, depending on how far you are in the game, it randomizes your a chance of a hit. And if you're using the knife, that gives you an increased chance of hit. So I just got far enough, used the knife, and just kept going until I stabbed the guy in his chest.
What ho!
Yeah, it's horrible. And the thief's room is at like the tail end of this big long maze. And the mazes in this game are terrible. Because when I originally played the game and tried to draw out a maze, I did it on like graph paper. I like made a grid and said, okay, this room is this block. If I go west, that's this block. If I go north, that's this block. But that's not how it works. Because how it works is you're basically in a room that's connected by tunnels to a bunch of other rooms. So I can be in a room, go south, and it will loop me back to that same room.
Damn.
Yeah. So I was getting my car's oil changed, and I'm like, playing it on my phone, and I have like a notebook there, and I'm drawing out maps, and each page that I like flip up, that's another layer down, because you go up and down in the maze too.
Right.
So I'm going up and down, and I like discover like 4 pages in, I'm like, wait a minute, this part repeats. Those are the same patterns. And I'm like, wait a minute. So if I go back, because if you run certain directions of the maze, it loops you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would keep going north to loop myself in the north block, and once you're in that north block, if you go east, you leave the maze. So do that left, took a like very specific path, found my way out of the maze. I'm like, aha! I beat it! And I beat that maze just drawing a map. And that is one of the most fun things, is to, as annoying as drawing maps are, once you like finally crack the code and you're like, you're not so smart, are you, game?
It's utterly satisfying.
Yes.
I remember watching an episode of Zero Punctuation when Yahtzee had, he was playing a game where there was no like overworld map or anything like that. There was no like heads up display, and he had to like make his way through a town or something like that. So he said like he actually had to draw a map, and then he like breaks for a second. He's like, "Do you know how long it's been since I've had to draw a map?"
That was Silent Hill, not Homecoming, the one after Homecoming. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's a difficult endeavor because, you know, we are not all born with cartographer blood. But
dude, like I was telling you, I was four levels in before I recognize a repeating pattern.
Yeah.
Because you'll go through rooms and it'll say, oh, you like can't go back the way you came in. And the description for the maze isn't there's a path north, west, or east. The description for the maze is this is a maze with a lot of twisty paths. Every single room has that same description.
Damn.
Your only hint is the sword, because the sword works exactly like the Elvish sword in Lord of the Rings. If I get near an enemy, it glows blue. So if I'm in that room where I'm right next to the enemy in the next room, where I'm right at the end of the maze, it'll glow blue.
Nice.
And then you're like, okay, it's the next room. South. You're in a maze of twisty. Dang it! Every freaking time!
Every time!
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And one of the, because I'm running out of time, but this
you're
game
good.
is so good.
Right. It's the last episode, and it's our podcast. We do what we want!
But, so, another thing that they ship with this game, because the guys who made the game, they were like, people love this thing. Because what they did was they made the game, and then they passed it around amongst their, like, university friends to all play on the mainframe. And then this was the early days of ARPANET, so they actually sent it over the early internet to other universities, and those people were getting addicted to it.
Nice.
So they're like, dude, you guys gotta like sell this, because this was like the early 80s. We're having the microcomputer boom. Apple's getting in its like swing. So they're like, okay, we have to like figure out how we're gonna do this. So the game was too massive to fit on a single microcomputer, no matter what they did. There was no way to squish it down to size, because it was all text. Like, you have to store your text and like the interpreter on there.
Right.
So the guy who designed the game, they had a big map up on the wall. He drew this massive circle around half the game and said, that's going to be Zork. And everything outside that circle became Zork 2. Right? Like, it's really cool that like their solution was, our game's too big to fit. Should we try to compile the nope, cut it in half. Solomon this thing. We can make it work.
Oh man.
And then what they built, like, and you were like, okay, so now they're just cutting off stuff, sealing up doors. That's the easy part. No. They built what was called the Zork interpreter language. So what they would do was, it was basically a machine that just ported Zork. So I would tell it the syntax of an IBM system, or I would tell it the syntax of an Apple system, or I would tell it the syntax of whatever the heck an Amiga is.
The Amiga.
I would tell it how to code, and then I would put Zork in one side and get the Amiga port of Zork out the other side. That's why Zork was on every computer, because they built a way to port it to every system.
Lovely.
It's crazy. Like, again, these are MIT grads. Like, they're geniuses. And they started their own company called Infocom. And they're like, we're going to give you the greatest graphics possible because we're going to use your own head.
Nice.
And this is back when they were like game written by blank. Like you didn't have like I'm the developer. No, I wrote this game.
Right.
Back in the days when like online was hyphenated, like even before then.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, all those like the kitschy things. One that's my favorite to make fun of is Scott McCloud, who Understanding Comics, extremely good book. Highly suggested to anybody who likes drawing comics.
Yeah.
Reinventing Comics, which he talks about webcomics and all that stuff. He uses the word hypertext like it's super advanced, and it's just like, you mean HTML? It's adorable.
You mean that thing that's been revised 5 times?
Yes. It's one of those, do you know what's capable with magnetic media? Maybe like a cassette tape? Yeah, Scott, I know it's capable.
I'm pretty aware, yeah.
Yeah. So, last couple of things. So, they built this company, and they basically they made Zork, they made Zork 2, they made Zork 3, they made all these different adventure games. They made the Hitchhiker's Guide game.
Yeah.
And, like, when they released later versions of it, they shipped it with stuff that was called Feelies. So, it would be like, because you find a sack of gold coins, and you'd get, like, a sack of, like, little plastic coins that were painted gold that had, like, the flatheads, like the Emperor's face on it, and all this other random stuff.
Nice.
It was kind of cool. It's like the collector's editions of the previous days, but it was also intermingled with copyright stuff, so maybe not the best thing in the world.
Yeah. Still, though.
Yeah. And they also, they would ship out a thing called Invisiclues, which was a book where you had strips of like you had a question printed up at the like top of a page, right? It'll say, how do I get past the maze? And you'll have these 3 blank spots, but they were coated in this like plastic material. So if I took a highlighter and I drug it across, it wouldn't stick to the plastic, but it would stick to the spaces in between. Right? So if you didn't want the clues, you didn't have to get the clues. If you only wanted one, you could only see one.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's like it was a really cool, unique solution. It's what the Professor Layton games did or do now with the coin systems.
Yes.
But using the coins to buy clues. Because for the Professor Layton games, it helps lengthen out the time because you're just tapping every single pixel.
Oh, yeah.
Because I badly want that coin because I need it because I can't understand what the heck this puzzle is trying to tell me.
I don't care how you pack your suitcase, kid!
Okay, yeah.
Dude,
So
fuck that puzzle, man! I'm good at Tetris!
Stop.
Fuck that suitcase! Fuck your teddy bear!
So,
I have no spatial reasoning.
So, somebody made a version of this online where I could click and it would reveal one clue. And if I clicked again, it would reveal the second clue. I click again, it reveals the third clue. And the third clue is usually just like, yeah, do this. And this is necessary because, one, some of the clues are just like, you got to think about it a little more. So, screw you, game.
Yeah.
Professor Layton does that too. It's awful.
It's just like, really consider this part. It's like, that's not a clue.
That's a statement.
That's you being a shithead teacher.
Yes. But, so it would do stuff like that. And it would, one of the problems of this game is because, again, 1977, it has issues, is the fact that if you miss, for example, you find a scepter. And you say, and when you pick up the scepter, it says you wave it through the air and you see lots of dazzling colors, and then you put it away. And so later I'm stuck on a puzzle and I'm like, okay, I know there's a rainbow that needs to come out here. I know I have to use an item. So I'm taking out all the trophies. I'm taking out the trident. I'm taking out the egg. I'm taking out the canary. I'm taking out all these things and like trying to use them, and I can't at this specific spot, even though I know the rainbow happens here with one of these items. And it was the scepter. I have all the items except for one at this point. So I'm taking out gold bars. I'm taking out platinum bars. I'm taking out, oh gosh, what do you get? You get something from the world of the dead, and I can't remember it. But here's the thing that gets me. If you examine an item after you've picked it up, it says there's nothing special about blank. So, like, there's nothing special about the sword. There's nothing special about the lantern. There's nothing special about the crystal trident. Are you sure? Are you sure there's nothing special about Poseidon's crystal trident? You just told me it was his.
Are you sure, Zork?
So I take up the scepter. I'm like, is it the scepter? I look at the scepter. There's nothing special about the scepter. I'm like, then what's the freaking point? Did it just glow that one time? Does it not do it anymore? Like, oh gosh. And I had to look that one up. And there's a couple times when you play video games where you look a thing up and you find the answer and you look at the screen and you go, well, that's stupid.
Yep.
Like, you're not like, you know for a fact you could never figure this out in 100 years. No reasonable human could figure this out. And you can save this game too. You could actually, what you would do was you would type in save, you would eject the Zork floppy, you would stick in another floppy, and then it would write your progress to the second floppy.
Yes.
Because this is back in the day. So it would like store it all on that tiny chunk of RAM your computer, like 128K of RAM your computer had, and then just like write it really fast.
Adorable. Just sitting there. I'm a real computer. It's like, of course you are, 128K.
But, gosh, it was just the fact that I'm playing this over weeks and I'm saving it. I have dozens of save files. Every time I have like 1 trophy, 2 trophies, 3 trophies, 4 trophies, 5 trophies. I get to 10 trophies and then it starts cutting off the Y. So I'm like, load 10 troph. Because again, 6 characters.
Yep.
But it's a really fun game. But the fact that, like, if you're playing it over weeks and you don't know what to do in a certain spot, there's no way within the context of the game to know what to do next. There's none. Because I'm examining the item that is needed to do that puzzle, and it's not giving me any flavor text to reiterate the use of the item. And that's bad. But 1977, you kind of expect this.
Yeah.
But that's why you have the Invisiclues. That's why you have like a manual. And the Invisiclues even had stuff like, how do I summon the god of the river? And then you highlight the thing and it's like, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? Because it's not actually in the game.
Good stuff.
Like, oh man, we should have put that in. But yeah, Zork's a really cool game. In fact, it's featured in Ready Player One.
Yes, it is. Well, I don't want to spoil the book, and it's not even like really featured in the movie at all.
No, but it's one of the challenges in the book of the game, which that's one of my favorite. Which we did a whole podcast on Ready Player One, folks. So if you don't want the book spoiled, like silence the next like minute.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that when he's coming out of the house, everything's going to pot on the surface.
Oh, yes.
Because that helps reiterate
goes into the full Battle of Frobos.
Yeah, because that helps reiterate how close that race is.
Yeah.
And Frobos is a wizard in the second one.
Yep.
And he will show up and like cast a spell, and it all started with F's, I think. And
something like that.
It would like make you drunk or like make you small or like all these things that just wore off after 3 turns.
Right.
And it's also featured in The Last Jedi.
Yes, it is.
Did you look this up?
No.
Wait, then how do you know? Did I tell you?
Yeah.
Dang it! I didn't think I told you.
But go on.
So in The Last Jedi, there's a casino scene, and at the casino, all the coins are Zork mids. They're little feelies that Infocom sent out back in the 80s because Rian Johnson is a nerd.
Yep.
And the best part about Zork is you can play it right now.
Yeah.
You can go to archive.org and they have the Apple II version of Zork and they have the DOS version of Zork that you can play in your browser right now. But you can't save.
Yeah.
That's the only bad thing is that you can't save. So once you run into the thief and the thief's just like, because the thief will show up in a room and just stab you and kill you and then game over.
Just ta-da!
Which makes me like, in Ready Player One, it makes me think like, was he allowed to use his own stuff in there? Because that thief would just murder him if he had to play by the game's rules.
Possibly, but if he was, like, doing the whole Oasis sort of thing, he could probably, like, dodge the thief's strikes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then,
One of those, it misses by a mile, and then still, like, hit points are taken off. Like, what the heck?
It's like, what the fuck? What, is my hitbox the size of the Hulk?
So you have 3 levels of damage. You have no damage, light wounds, heavy wounds, death.
Yeah.
So you can get hit, like, twice, and then you're just dead. And the thief uses a stiletto, and it'll even say, like, he quickly slides it between your ribs. It's not a gentle death.
No.
I think the Cyclops just straight up eats you.
Something like that.
Yeah.
This game is just full of, like, just horrible deaths.
Yes. And it also has, I'll save that for later. But yeah, Zork's a really fun, really cool game. It's, like, a delight to play just for the immersion factor.
Yeah.
Just for, like, you find thing, and you're like, huh, what do I do with this little, what do I do with a screwdriver? Like, what do I do with
you
this
figure it out.
Yeah. But it's cool. It's fun to figure it out. If you could, like, if they could remake Invisiclues and, like, print them out and, like, hand them to people, that'd be so cool.
Oh, yeah.
If you could, like, load up a printer with a cartridge of invisible ink, that would be awesome.
Yes. Yes, that would be cool.
But that is it for me. Dang it. All right, Pete, what have you got for us this week?
This week I'm going to talk about Zombieland.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, right? So, Zombieland. Movie that came out in, I want to say, 2008. Or,
That
yeah,
sounds right.
2008.
2008 or 9.
Yeah. But, so this was a prime first example. Well, not the first example because we had Shaun of the Dead before it, but a great example of the Zomcom.
Yes.
And that is a genre that really has a lot of potential that very few people want to try and pursue because at their core, like, yes, zombies are scary, but they are also at the same time very derpy.
Yeah.
And, unless you get those, like, blood spewing runner zombies from 28 Days Later, if you just get, like, the stupid mindless brain eaters from, like, Night of the Living Dead, they're just funny.
Yeah. They're the horror monster that leads themselves best to comedy. I would say after that is probably the Wolfman, because you make it act like a dog really easy.
Yeah. They did that really well in Hotel Transylvania.
Mel Brooks killed Dracula, and Dracula Dead and Loving It. That's probably the best comedy version you could do that. Yeah,
that was really good. But let's see. So it's a story about 4 zombie apocalypse survivors, all named either where they come from or where they're planning to go. So you have names like Columbus, Tallahassee, Wichita, and Little Rock. And Columbus, played by Jesse Eisenberg, which this was a very good role for him.
Yeah.
For his mannerisms. And I wish DC would have understood that. Fucking God. I'm still salty about that shit.
I think he would have made a good Mr. Mxyzptlk. I don't think they'll ever do Mr. Mxyzptlk, but he would have made a good Mr. Mxyzptlk, because every time Superman makes him nervous, he's just like, okay, none of this. Superman's just hanging upside down.
I would have just gone with just taken straight from the Superman animated series and made Gilbert Gottfried Mr. Mxyzptlk.
I don't know about that.
It's a lot. Like, it... Yeah, so he voiced Mr. Mxyzptlk in the animated series, and it was hilarious. Because, I mean, fucking... You got Iago screaming shit like, I'll get you, Superman!
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. While he's turning into, like, a missile and shit. It's just fun. Anyway. So, this movie has a lot of really interesting visual features. One, which I learned in I learned about this in college, is the use of After Effects text and motion tracking to make it look like text is actually like a part of the scenery
Scene.
and, makes it look like it's actually there when clearly it's not.
Yeah.
So, you have things like whenever a rule for survival is brought up, it appears in the scene and then just kind of interacts as you would, like, interact with anything else.
Yeah, I think there's one where it's like 2 lines of text and the second line swings down like an old sign and then the whole world falls off the screen.
Yeah, pretty much. Or, well, that was Zombie Kill of the Week, I think.
Oh, okay.
But there's one that was... what was it? I think it was Wear Seatbelts, or was it the double tap? Either way, it appeared on the bumper of a car, and then it just like kind of fell flat off of the bumper and onto the road.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, with a satisfying clang sound. It was cool. Anyway, so speaking of the rules, there are 4. They're kind of like 5 or 6 or the 4 that get introduced like right off the bat. 1, cardio. And, of course you have to run away from zombies, because in this world, they are, like, running zombies. So, as Columbus puts it, the first people to go were the fatties.
Yep. I just love the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like a fat kid and he's being chased by a zombie gym teacher. Probably the nightmare of any overweight kid in high school. Poor fat bastards. And then we have the double tap, where it's like, if you're not... It's like, in order to survive, you had to get a gun, and you had to know how to use it. So when you're not sure if the undead are really dead, don't get all stingy with your bullets. One more well-placed shot can stop you from being turned into a human Happy Meal.
Yeah.
And then there's beware of bathrooms, because zombies know when you're most vulnerable. And wear your seatbelt.
Always useful.
Always wear your seatbelt. But,
there was a guy I knew, he kept quoting, I think it was Enjoy the Little Things. He kept saying it was Rule 34.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
that reaction that you just had, that's the reaction I had about twice a week. That thing you're thinking right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway. Yeah. Don't ever say anything is Rule 34 if it's not Rule 34.
No.
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 No. So, anyway, yeah. One of the rules that gets added to the list, like, probably a third of the way into, probably, like, near the end of Act 1, is Enjoy the Little Things, because, they get paired up with Tallahassee, who's played by Woody Harrelson. Perfect role for Woody Harrelson, by the way.
Oh, yeah. This is Woody Harrelson after No Country for Old Men. He's on his way back up to, like, he's not just the Cheers guy, he's an actual actor.
Yeah, and he's just having fun the whole time. You can tell, like, he is just having the best time.
Favorite Tallahassee line?
Ooh. There's so many good ones.
I love rednecks. That's my favorite.
Snowballs? Snowballs? Where's the goddamn Twinkies? I mean, what are the odds you find a Hostess truck and it's only got snowballs?
Yeah, somebody already rated it.
Yeah. Nobody fucking likes snowballs. Well, I don't. But
I don't think I've ever had one.
That's because just fuck coconut.
Coconut's good. And,
Coconut's bullshit. It's a bullshit fruit or vegetable or whatever it is, and it tastes like grass.
It kind of does, yeah.
It tastes like and feels like grass.
Yeah. I'm not denying this. Just, yeah.
Yeah. I hate coconut so much. Anyway.
Right, Pete, you have control of the board. Where are you going to go from here?
But, yeah, there are so many, like, quotable moments in this movie, and so many scenes that if you are having a conversation with anyone, and you've both seen this movie, you can like just spend hours just like going over different scenes and things like that. And I didn't even get to the best part of this movie, and that is Bill fucking Murray.
Yep.
Bill fucking Murray. And like here's another part where we see Woody Harrelson as I think like would be one of his most honest portrayals ever, because when Tallahassee sees that it's Bill Murray and he's not a zombie because he's dressed like a zombie, because you know that's his like camouflage, because zombies don't fuck with other zombies.
Yeah.
So he sees that it's Bill Murray and it's not a zombie, and he just loses his mind. He's like going full fanboy on it and everything, and Bill Murray's like being all cool about it. You can tell Bill Murray is just playing Bill Murray because it is Bill Murray, but it's like you can tell that even if there was a script, he's completely ignoring it, as Bill Murray is wont to do.
I saw Eddie Van Halen the other day.
Ah, how was he?
He's good. He's a zombie.
It's like, how was that? He's a zombie. I played 18 holes at the golf course yesterday. Just walked on. Yeah. So, Emma Stone.
Bill Murray is definitely the best part of this movie because it's just Bill Murray playing Bill Murray.
Yeah. It's just wonderful. And he's fucking wearing wingtips. So, there is a scene. By the way, Wichita is played by the very awesome Emma Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Just so great. And because she plays cynical and sarcastic and somewhat nihilistic just so well. And and she makes it funny.
Yes.
Because she and her sister Little Rock, at least I think they're sisters. Anyway.
They act like sisters. I always thought they were.
Pretty sure they're sisters. But they basically just completely fuck over Columbus and Tallahassee, not once, but twice. And on the second time, they like hijack their car, pointing a gun right at their face. It's like, bummer. Because it's like, oh man, we're about to fuck you again.
Really didn't want to do this, but I really got to do this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't want to do this, but I also really want to do this. But, yeah. So there's that whole thing. It's fucking great. Anyway. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So, Bill Murray, Tallahassee, and Wichita all end up getting high and reenacting Ghostbusters.
With, like, the vacuum cleaner on his back.
And here's the thing.
Bill
Murray
Tallahassee has
gives
the
Tallahassee the Peter Venkman outfit, complete with the proton pack. And that just, like, makes me think, like, man, Bill Murray does seem like the kind of guy who would be, like, hospitable enough to, it's like, hey, you want to play Ghostbusters? It's like, fuck yeah. You want to wear the Venkman outfit? Can I?
Yeah. Well, this is Bill Murray in his first, like, comedic role since, gosh, Scrooged? Like, because this is post his Wes Anderson period and his Lost in Translation period.
Yeah.
First solely comedic role.
Well, if you don't count Garfield.
Let's just not, for the sake of argument.
Well, we kind of have to, because they even acknowledge it in the movie, because, spoiler alert, except not, because the movie's like 10 years old now, Bill Murray gets shot and dies.
It's not gentle, it's a shotgun blast to the chest. It's
yes. It's like, Bill? Yeah. I don't think we're going to be able to stitch this up. And he, like, pokes the wound. It's like, that's still tender. And, oh my god, it's Bill Murray to the core. It's just so great.
Yes, but, the 21 gun salute, where after they do two shots, he's like, hold on, gotta reload. Shotgun.
It's a double barrel. I'm sorry. But, but yes, It's basically Bill Murray the whole time, and then, he gets shot, and Little Rock asks him, "Do you have any regrets?" And he looks around and he's like, "Garfield, maybe?" And here's an interesting tidbit.
Fun fact of the week.
Yeah. So Bill Murray doesn't have an agent. He has an answering machine. You call him, leave your movie pitch, and if he likes it, he'll get back to you. That is it. So, when he got a pitch for Garfield, the director's last name was Cohen. He thought it was one of the Coen brothers.
And he probably thought it was about President Garfield.
Yes. And so he said, "Yes, absolutely. You guys do great movies. Let's do this." And then he realizes he's voicing a lasagna-loving, fat-ass cat. And he's like, "Oh, I signed a contract. God damn it!" And that also provides a unique parallel because Bill Murray played Peter Venkman in the Ghostbusters movies, but Lorenzo Music played Peter Venkman in the Ghostbusters TV show. He also played Garfield, who Bill Murray played in live action. So it happens. He gets shot because they are trying to pull a prank on Columbus, who they know to scare easily, because he's kind of living in a constant state of fear, just different levels of it. Even though he kind of keeps his wits about him by adhering to the rules and trying to ensure his survival and everything like that, he still loses his shit when shit hits the fan. So when he and Little Rock are in a in-home movie theater, because they basically just kind of crash Bill Murray's house. That's how they meet him. Yeah. Because, they make it all the way to Hollywood, and Tallahassee has the idea. It's like, "Oh, we are going to the tippy top of the A-list." And so they go to Bill Murray's house. And Little Rock doesn't know jack about Bill Murray, to which Tallahassee replies, "All right, I've never hit a kid before." That's like asking who Gandhi is. And then she goes, "Who's Gandhi?" And then Wichita's like, "She's 12. But anyway, so, Bill Murray tries to act all zombie to get the drop on Columbus, who turns around and immediately shoots him in the chest. And then everybody's like, "What the fuck?" And, then Bill Murray's like, "It's okay. I was never a very good practical joker." And then he lets out the longest death rattle in movie history.
Yes.
He even takes a breath to let out more of a death rattle. And then Wichita actually chuckles. It's like, "I'm sorry, he just gets me." But it still is sad.
Yes.
So
this is not to interrupt you, but this is one of the few zombie movies where none of your core cast gets turned. And that is such a rarity.
It really is.
Because even in Shaun of the Dead, you got a character turned.
Yeah.
Well, you got a couple characters turned.
We had all but one. We had all but two characters either turn or die.
"Don't you touch her! Don't you touch my mom!" Mrs. Harrington? What was her name?
I can't remember.
I'm looking it up.
It was just so sad. So sad. But really glad that we got that we also got the cast of Black Books in that movie. That was really good too.
That was awesome.
If nobody's watched it, it used to be on Netflix. Not anymore. Netflix, you piece of shit sometimes. But I think it's on Amazon Prime Video now. But it's a priceless little show, and it's just got so many great cameos in it. And it's just so fun to watch. And the parallels between me and one of the characters is unnerving!
Wait, hold on. Bernard?
No. No, if anything, you're Bernard.
I am not Bernard! Don't make me yell at you!
No, the other guy.
Manny.
Manny. Yes.
Manny.
Yes. Because
But Manny doesn't
when
smoke.
when I saw this for the first time, I had long hair, beard, and wore a jean jacket. I still wear a jean jacket, but like there was one episode where he was sporting all three of those things. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm Manny.
Well, I was, hey, what am I doing on television? I'm not British. Get out of there, magic talking me.
But yeah. So yeah, Black Books is amazing. We went from Zombieland to Shaun of the Dead to Black Books. Back to Zombieland. There's a lot of really great scenes, but one of the best is the climax, and this happens at Pacific Playland, this like sort of huge, sort of Six Flags-ish theme park that, in order to like sort of recapture a time that wasn't full of zombies and death around every corner, Wichita and Little Rock wanted to just sort of, be happy kids again.
Yeah.
And in an act of, I can only call unparalleled stupidity, but would later be paralleled by movies like World War Z.
Yeah.
Fuck that movie!
Movie? Well, nah, you can say it. Say it again.
Fuck that movie!
Yeah.
Yeah. But that movie was just so bad. The book was good. The movie was terrible.
Was amazing. That's the problem with it, is that it wasn't just a cash-in on an okay book. It was a cash-in on an incredible book.
Yeah. The thing is, if they had gone and, like, been faithful to the book and went the way the book did, it would have been a fucking cash pinata.
Yeah.
But no, they're like, hey, let's just get this one fucking asshole and watch everything go to shit around him.
Yeah.
Let's make him be like this harbinger of death.
Let's go against, like, one of the cool things about the book, where it was little vignettes and you're examining different countries and different cultures reacting to this. Let's just follow around Brad Pitt during an apocalypse.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
At least we're not following around Tom Cruise while something's blowing up in the background. You know how many times we've seen Tom Cruise run away from something blowing up in the background? It's been an awful lot.
It's been a good lot. How did we get to this? Whatever. Unparalleled Stupidity,
Zombieland.
World War Z, Pacific Playland, starting up an entire amusement park, and zombies are attracted to noise and light. Guess what amusement park emanates? Buttload of both of those.
Yeah.
So, naturally, a gigantic zombie horde closes in on Wichita and Little Rock. Columbus and Tallahassee, having had like a fallout sort of between them, sort of like rejoin. Okay.
What with the betrayal, there was a falling out.
Well, there wasn't really a betrayal. It was just sort of.
Oh,
like,
Wichita and Little Rock. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, but they just kind of like, because in this zombie wasteland, you can't really afford to make friends because that's just somebody you're gonna have to say goodbye to when they die, and they're not gonna die pretty.
No.
Chances are they're gonna get bit, and you're gonna have to put them down Old Yeller style or Of Mice and Men style, and it's just nobody wants that. So you just don't make friends. So let me tell you about the rabbits, Lenny. Ugh. So there is a lot of really great scenes. One of which is what feels like is going to be Tallahassee's last stand. Because he locks himself in like this like sort of prize booth sort of thing that, it's like those
Is it the ticket booth?
No, it's prizes.
Okay.
But it's like a prize booth, but like he closes the grates, but there's still like openings, and so he just stays in there because he's basically trying to be the distraction so Columbus can get to Wichita and Little Rock, who are stuck on a ride that's, got them about 60 feet in the air. And zombies are climbing up the scaffolding to get them, and it's all rah! And, they're kind of losing their shit, and they're like kicking the zombies down and everything like that. so many great effects, by the way. Like, you see zombies basically falling to their death from 60 feet up, and it's like, whoa!
Yeah.
So you have, like, one of the greatest sort of, one of the greatest tropes in filmmaking, and that is the suspenseful feeling you get when you think one of your favorite characters is about to die, because motion starts going slower, you start hearing music above everything else. Like, there's still sound effects, but they are very dulled out, and the music is, like, slow and beautiful, and it just feels like you're about to say goodbye to someone. But you don't! It's great, because Tallahassee's a goddamn badass!
Yeah, he is.
And he even lined up his, because he just has dual pistols. Like, that's all he goes into the booth with. But he's got, like, magazines lined up, and he lines them up perfectly so that he can just do this, like, super fast reload where he just ejects both magazines and then just slams the guns down on two ready loaded magazines that he's stood up on the counter behind him. So it's just like, click, drop, smack, keep firing.
Gosh, I forgot about that scene. That part's so cool.
Oh, it's so cool.
Boom, boom.
So much fun to watch. Anyway, then Columbus has to face two of his greatest fears at once. One is zombies, the other, fucking clowns. There's a clown zombie. And so Columbus breaks his biggest rule, which is don't be a hero. And then, you know, we see the text of don't be a hero, and then we see don't fall away, and it's like, fuck it, time to nut up or shut up. Because that's what Tallahassee always said.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And so he takes a giant mallet from the Test Your Strength game, bashes the clown zombie in the stomach, and it basically floors him, and then he smashes his head in, and you just hear the of his nose, and it's great. So everyone survives, everyone's happy, Tallahassee finally gets a Twinkie, even though it looks like Columbus shot the last remaining box on Earth. And it's all just beautiful. And we're not sure what's in store for our heroes after this, and that's okay.
Yeah, it turns out not a whole lot, because that was about a decade ago.
Yeah. There was word in the wind about Zombieland sequel. I'm kind of glad they didn't make one, because I feel like this one is just like perfect the way it is.
Yeah, it's a nice little self-contained thing. The calling themselves by, like, city names because you don't want to make friends, that was a good touch.
That was a good touch, yeah.
Because you hear characters say that a lot in movies, is like, hey, don't make friends. Come on, Marshall. Let's go be cool guys over here. But this helps give you an extra layer of separation. Yeah. Because they become, like, they don't become people. The person who's the most human throughout the whole thing is Tallahassee. Because Tallahassee wants food. He wants a very human thing.
Yeah, when he wants sees Bill Twinkies.
Murray, when he sees Bill Murray, he acts like a crazy fan. Yeah. Versus like Columbus.
13 people left alive in the world, and one of them's Bill fucking Murray.
But Columbus follows his rules to a T. He's more of a computer. Tallahassee and Little Rock, you don't really know what their deal is.
Wichita and Little Rock.
Wichita and Little Rock. Tallahassee's awesome. Just talked about this. But yeah, it helps you. It's a very human thing just because it's a comedy, so you have to laugh.
Yeah.
Always. You have to laugh, and you always have to check the back seat.
Yes, always check the back seat. So,
gosh, when he double taps that girl with a toilet lid.
Oh, God.
Crack! Oh, so good.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
This movie's great.
It really is. I mean, I basically spoiled it for you, but it's still worth a watch if you haven't seen it yet. If you've got some, like, weird thing about, like, oh, I don't really like zombie movies, it's oversaturated, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, fuck that opinion. Go see it. Go fucking rent it. I don't give a shit. It's good for your soul.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that just about wraps it up for me. So let us do our final wrap-up for this series.
That's Bart, crazy.
What do you love about Zork?
I love the exploration. So one of the cool things about Zork is going in blind and not knowing what you're gonna see next. Because I had no idea that the trident was there. So it's like, oh, like across this pond is Poseidon's own crystal trident. It was one of those, what the heck? What's this doing here? I found the gold coffin of Ramses II. One of those, huh? You have to get that out of the crypt. It's not easy.
Okay.
It's not light. But yeah, just the exploration of going into a room and not knowing what you find. Because since it's all mental, you can't really use a straight up guide for this to walk you through it. You have to try and struggle and fight. And when you find the new thing, it's that little moment of success. You get a lot of those little moments of success. Nice. And that's where the game shines.
So what do you hate about it?
I hate that. It was the thing I was talking about earlier. The fact that if you are past a certain point where the game gives you the clue, you can never get that clue again.
Ugh.
Or worse than that, dead man walking situations.
Oh man.
Where you're stuck, you don't know this yet, but you can't win because there's there's candles. And if the candles stay lit for too long, they burn out and they become ash, and then you can't solve that puzzle.
Oh.
And adventure games are like
that
horrible. Yeah, adventure games are terrible at dead man walking situations. Like you have to use the like sack lunch that you got in the kitchen. You have to use that. You can also just eat that. Doesn't give you anything. Doesn't restore health. It's just you ate it.
Havarti.
Smells like I just screwed myself over. And you did.
Tastes like I might die.
Yeah. But that's what I hate. And it's a thing in all adventure games, and this is an early one, so it suffers through it. Less than it used to, because there's been revisions to it. There's been 88 revisions of this game since 77. So most of like the little stuff's ironed out, but just dead man walking situation is one of the worst things in video games.
Yeah. So, who would you recommend Zork to?
I would recommend it to anybody who likes old adventure games, and also to anybody who read Ready Player One, because that's a good foot in the door, is knowing about it, so you have an encouragement to go in and screw around and all that stuff.
Nice.
All right. And yeah, and Pete, what do you love about Zombieland?
Oh man, probably how they bring levity to an otherwise horrible situation where it's just so incredibly human, where it's like, you know what, everything has gone to shit, but if I find something funny, I'm gonna point at it and laugh.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I have an opportunity to make a joke, I'm gonna make a fucking joke. If I have a banjo and I see a zombie wearing overalls, I'm gonna say, "You got a purty mouth," before I smash it in the face with the banjo. Another classic Tallahassee line, by the way.
Yeah. What do you hate about Zombieland?
I don't like... There are certain parts of the movie that feel oddly paced. Like, there's one part where they just kind of go nuts in, like, a Native American reservation gift shop. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun scene. It just kind of feels a little like if they had placed that scene a little bit earlier, it probably would have fit better, but yeah. There's just some editing problems that I just have with it. It just kind of throws me off a little bit. But those are kind of small potatoes.
Nice. And who is Zombieland a good fit for?
Well, let's see. If you have, like, sort of a dark sense of humor, or if you kind of get off on the silly stuff, it kind of covers its bases no matter what kind of humor you have. So, honestly, it would be pretty much good for anybody who's looking for a good comedy.
Yeah. I think that holds up.
Yeah. And it doesn't date itself, which is nice. Because, you know, you have, like, these things where it's like it's supposed to be set in the future or something like that, and then they'll say like what year it is or who was president and blah blah blah. And they date themselves. And this one doesn't. This one just says like it's been however many weeks since the first person bit into a bad burger and got like this zombie virus.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Also, the opening credits sequence is probably one of the best opening credits sequences ever conceived, because it's beautiful. Slow motion, set to For Whom the Bell Tolls by... Is that... I believe it's Metallica, right?
For Whom the Bell Tolls is AC/DC. Wait, hold on. Let me verify this.
It doesn't sound like AC/DC at all.
It's by Ernest Hemingway. So yeah, that's not Metallica at all. I don't know why you would think it was definitely Metallica off the album Ride the Lightning, but it's Ernest Hemingway.
But honestly, like if you're just looking for a solid comedy that is highly rewatchable and good alone or with friends, go for Zombieland.
Nice. All right, is that all for you, Pete?
That is it for me, Bart.
And I think that is it for us.
All right. To our listeners, thank you for sticking with us from A to Z. It's been a lot of fun researching all these things that have brought us joy or hatred through the years. And, man, it's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has.
But all good things must come to an end. So one last time, thank you to OK Go for their use of their song Here It Goes Again off their album Oh No. You know them, and I don't know, you might know us at this point.
Yeah, if you're in this far, then maybe you have an inkling of who we are. I will say, one thing we've accomplished is there have been so many ABC podcasts there was one I found that didn't make it past G. The fact that we made it all the way through the alphabet, like, I am very proud of us.
Fist bump. Across the internet, yeah.
Across space and time!
Yes.
And if you have to buy anything this week, folks, please, if you will.
Buy Sponch.
Buy Sponch.
Now it's just me alone with the listeners. Hi, everybody. How's your day going? I hope it's better than over here in San Diego, because it's butt fucking hot. Yeah. Yeah, that is the only way I know how to describe it. Hot enough to butt fuck, I guess. God damn it. I'm laughing at my own... I'm so amused by my own bullshit. And yes, Bart, I know I stole that from Max Landis. You're gonna have fun editing this. Quack. Quack.